We all have our favorite camping spots, either a campground or a wilderness site in the forest or desert. Many of us can only get away to our favorite campsite once, or if we are fortunate, twice a year. Many great memories are the result of our camping vacation trips. But over time, we also want to discover and camp at new sites. How do we discover these new locations? I researched the internet months in advance to locate possible new sites for camping. Scouting a new site before camping at it is important. Recently, I was researching for spring and summer campsites in the high country of Arizona. I found some possibilities on Forest Road 512, also known as the Young Highway, located on the Mogollon Rim east of Payson, Arizona. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it for you. Give it a like at the end of the video and also subscribe to my channel for more great content. So, as I say in my other videos on Sam's Camping Videos, let's get to it. I'm preparing to leave my campsite for our scout today to Forest Road 512 up in the Mogollon Rim in northern Arizona. And it's only like a few miles away from my normal Forest Lakes campsite that I go to in April of every year. We'll be at least visiting 3 sites, and I visited these 3 sites last month actually on a short day trip, but I want to do more in detail and record it on a video for you, so it may be helpful to you as well. So let's get to it. Well, I had to go to the gas station first before we took our little trip down. I was only down to perhaps 36-mile range on my truck. So I had to go down the road a way to go to a general store to gas up. Expensively, of course. But now we're going to take our little trip down to Forest Road 512. I'm traveling on Highway 260 away from my campsite on Forest Road 237, which you've seen many times on my Sam's Camping videos. I travel like maybe 2 or 3 miles down this road to get to our scouting destination for this video. Forest Road 512 is also known as the Young Highway. We've arrived at Forest Road 512. We gotta turn left to get onto it. And for about 3 miles it's paved, but then it becomes unpaved. Well, I'm out beside Forest Road 512 right now, and let me try to get in a little shot of this sign here. And now we'll proceed down the paved section of this, and we're going to be turning right on to our first destination. There's a couple sites that I want to take us on. Okay, we're going to be going on a couple sites to see, which I've scouted out last month actually. And we're going to look at them in a little bit more detail. They're located on another forest road called 9512E, and that's about 2 or 3 miles down this road to the right. Okay, we're on our way down Forest Road 512, and I see quite a few campers here. There are also some little spur roads from time to time off here where you can go camping, but when I was up here about a month ago, they were like too muddy to really explore any further. But they're not very suitable for a large rig like my own. Now, if you're a tent camper, it will work quite nicely for you. But I found what I think is perhaps the best like wooded spot, but there was a fifth wheel camped in there at the time, so I couldn't really go back into it to see. So I'm hoping that, which will be my number one spot off this little spur forest road, 9512E, will be vacant, so we can look at it a little bit further for ourselves. Okay, we've reached 9512E, so I'm going to turn right on it right now. And what we're actually going to do is, I'm going to visit one site before, the number one site that I was talking to you about earlier, because it's on the way. And I hope I can locate it again, because it was a cloudy day when I did this little day scout up here about a month ago. Yeah, this might have been it right here. So I'm going to turn into it now. And it was promising because it was sort of like a pull-through spot that I could do. And it had a big fire ring here too. So let me just come on out and show you around right now. I'm on the side of Forest Road 9512E, and I came in right over here. I came down this forest road, and I turned left, and there's a not quite bad of a site back here. You can see it's been heavily logged again, which I don't particularly like, but I get it folks. I know why you have to do it, so okay. Flame off. But I would be able to pull my rig back into here. So here's this big giant fire ring here. And it looks like a mess back in here, actually. That's the one thing I don't like about it. And plus, there's no shade, but I have a solar panel. So if I want to use solar power, I can't have shade. I can't have it both ways, actually. So this is like, I would count this as the number 2 site I would come to if I was to use this place, maybe like next April, come up here. And there's Forest Road 9512E out there in the distance. But as you can see, it's been heavily logged here in the past couple years or so. Good thing is, you will find some wood. There's a big giant wood pile right here. So this is what I would call the 1.2 site off this road. We'll now go down to the 1.1 site and see if that's vacant so we can explore that. Okay, we're going to leave this site and proceed down to what I call 1.1 site on Forest Road 9512E, which is off of Forest Road 512 on the Mogollon Rim in northern Arizona. It is a bit bumpy coming out of this site, so that's another thing you better be cognizant of. I can see off in the distance between the trees, and I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but it looks like we're like right on the edge of the rim here. Saw a rabbit going across the road there. I'm going to try to find this 1.1 site as I label it. I am passing sites and areas that I remember passing when I found this 1.1 site on Forest Road 9512E. And here's the path, so I'm going to turn right into it. And it's vacant. Yahoo! It's vacant. We can explore it. Gotta be careful though with a larger rig coming through here. It's kind of rutted from stuff, so there's like a big campfire ring to my right, but we're not, I wouldn't go into there. So it was back in here where I saw this fifth wheel, and I don't know how he got back in here with a lot of maneuvering. There's a big giant fire ring here. I don't know now, after coming back in here, if I would really want to even try to maneuver myself back in here. Because that would probably park my rig right here. So, hey, we'll give it a look over. I'll do a snap judgment at that time. So that's where we came from Forest Road 9512E, and we came into this path right here. I'm going to swing us around here so we can be facing the way that we would have came into this place. So I drove in, and right to the right was a large campfire ring. Now, I wouldn't be camping around this thing, but you know, if you're part of a group, or you got tents, or you got, you know, like a small rig, this would work out for you. There you go. That's better, and wasn't getting this fire ring in the shot very well. Okay. Let me come back out to the path that I would drive to get down into here. There it is right there. So I had some concern about driving down this path because I want to get near, there's like a huge fire ring. I won't get as close as I would like in other places around in the forest, but hey, it's good enough. And then this is where I have some trepidation about getting my rig through. It's bordered by this little skinny tree here, and then, I don't know, it's like 40 feet, 50 feet, something like that. This tree right here. So I would have to most likely try to get my rig as left as I could without the roof scraping on these little tiny branches here. And then going straight ahead and then bearing to the right, make sure I miss everything. But then I'm going to have to come over to the right side of this, it's like a T here, and then bear to the left. And we'll see where I've parked my truck. This would be where I would park my camping rig, the Outback 260 UML. Here we go, like right here. Let me show you the back of the site here. That's where I would come from, right over there, to drive into this place. And now what I call the front of the site. And it has 2 fire rings here. I may probably only use just this small one here. Let me show you right there. That's good enough for me. There is a much larger one here though, which is like humongous. This is the biggest fire ring I've ever seen. And I have said previously on previous videos, I've seen the biggest fire ring that I've ever seen. But this is most definitely the biggest fire ring I've ever seen. It's about, 8 feet to 10 feet across. It's gigantic. You can put a bonfire in this place. I'm not saying you should do a bonfire because it is quite dry here in northern Arizona. So I will just make use of this little fire ring here. And here's the rest of the surroundings here. So this is what I call Site 1.1 on Forest Road 9512E, which is off of our main Scout Road that we're doing today, Forest Road 512 on the Mogollon Rim in northern Arizona. It's also known as the Young Highway. I'm going to proceed down to our next area, the Scout, because we're done with this Forest Road 9512E. But this will be a little bit different. I found this on my day trip last month, and it's a campground, but it's not a true, developed campground. It's a primitive one, and it would be someplace that I would probably find interesting to camp in if I couldn't find any sites on this road. So let's go there now. Before we proceed to this little campground I was talking about, off camera I took a little ride further down the road to see if there was any place where I could turn around my rig in case these 2 spots that we were investigating today weren't available. I found maybe a couple that I could turn around in, but only if they were vacant could I do that. But if they were vacant, I could camp there. So that would be a judgment call that I would make on that day if I went that way. Okay, we're going to proceed now to the Colcord Campground. It's about 3 miles away from where 260, where you turn into this Forest Road 512 is. And a good way to find it, and that's because the paved section transitions into the non-paved section, and it'll be off to the left, the Colcord Campground. So let's do that right now. Well, here it is. I thought there was a sign here, but it's probably further back in there. So we're going to turn left into what I believe is the Colcord Campground. Yes, this is what it is. I see it off to my left here. So I'm going to go and drive down to where I think the main entrance is here. I think it's right about here. So we're going to turn into it. There it is right there, the sign for it. So here's the Colcord. And I want to point this out because I did do a scout trip here last month. And if you want to go back out to the road again, you go to the left here. To the right, you can't go down too far because it'll dead end and you've got a big rig, you're stuck. So we're going to go to the right. And if I go too far down to the right here, then you'll see what I'm talking about getting all ledged up, as they used to call it back in the old cowboy and western movies. Now here's a pull-through site that I saw here when I first arrived here for a little day trip last month. So we're going to turn into it now and just like see what we can see. Now I wouldn't turn into it the way I did. I would have came in from the other way to make it easier. Yeah. There's a big stump here. So, yeah, I wouldn't camp at this spot right here. But there's plenty of other ones. And there are several pull-throughs. I do remember that from last month when I was doing a little day trip scout just on my own. Yeah, I was doing a scout of a scout video. Off to my right here is something, let's just see if a big rig of mine could actually get into. Yeah, it could, and it could get right back out, so that's good. It can pull through here, but I would probably have to back in a little bit here. So I'm going to come out and give you a little tour of this site at the Colcord Campground. So I just stepped out here, and this could be a very promising site. It's kind of bare though. It does have one of these campground developed type fire pits. So you can have your campfire here, and it has one of those developed type campground grills here. And several of these sites have these items. And it has a metal picnic table too. I'm going to go out to the front of this site. It can handle a rig like mine, but I'm going to have to do some fancy like turning around and backing back up into the site. And at least I won't have to back into the site from the road. But what I want to show you, and I hope you can see it here, and that is, you know, what I liked about this Colcord Primitive Campground is that the views you have here, you can't really tell, you know, from here. But right over there is like, you know, it's like one of the little valleys coming off the Mogollon Rim here. And unfortunately, I can't really show you that well without walking over there. So I showed you a representative site of what's available at this primitive campground called the Colcord Campground. It has some gorgeous views if you can find these sites available when you come up here. It's not a very bad primitive campground at all, and it's because of those views. But because of those views, it's pretty windy up here too, so you gotta take that into consideration. I'm gonna go back to my campsite now, and I'll provide my summation of the scout of Forest Road 512. It's the next day at my campsite. I didn't get a chance to do this summation yesterday, so I'm going to give it to you now. So these are my 4 findings of my scout of Forest Road 512 and of 9512E. Number 1, you can probably find a good spot to go camping on Forest Road 512 and 9512E if you're a tent camper or if you have a smaller rig. 2, but take care if you have a longer rig like mine, because you may be hard-pressed to find a good site to where you can maneuver into on Forest Road 512 and 9512E. Now this is a caveat, I didn't explore every nook and cranny of this forest to find great sites. I only visited the ones which I could see from those 2 forest roads. 3, I did find one promising site which I referred to as Site 1.1, on Forest Road 9512E. But be warned, once again, if there isn't any available sites that can accommodate the size of your rig, or if they're just full for the summer, you may be hard-pressed to find a place to turn around in. If you're a tent camper, well, that won't be a problem, but if you're towing a travel trailer, then that could be an issue for you. 4. The Colcord Campground is an excellent backup to go to if you can't find a site to camp in on Forest Road 512 and 95-2E. It has absolutely gorgeous views. It's on the rim, or more precisely, it's on one of the canyons off of the Mogollon Rim in northern Arizona, but it can be windy there. But if you can't find no other place to camp on the 2 forest roads I mentioned earlier, then the Colcord Campground should be able to accommodate you. This concludes my scout video of Forest Road 512 and of a bonus Forest Road 9512E. Be safe. Have fun. Goodbye.